Hi there folks, and welcome to a little something I'm gonna go ahead and call Fiction Addiction Rewind. What you're about to watch is a re-upload of a video I made way back in 2020 when me and some friends were trying to start a new channel called The Collective. Now that channel didn't quite pan out, but I still like the videos I made back then, so I thought I would re-upload them for you all to watch to sort of make up for my low output this year. You know, including the video that got freaking blocked. So you can consider this as sort of Christmas present. If all goes well, there should still be one new video before the end of the year, though it won't actually be holiday related, so look forward to that one. This particular video was made shortly before the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie hit theaters, so it also feels appropriate to re-upload it now that the third movie is fast approaching. So thank you for your patience, sorry for the low output this year, and I hope you enjoyed this little video I made way back in 2020. So, the Sonic the Hedgehog movie has been out for a little while now, and thankfully, most people seem to rather like it. You know, despite a bit of a rocky start. Now, I actually do consider myself a little bit of a fan of the Speedy Blue Hedgehog. Despite the fact that I haven't really played most of his games. See, I didn't have a Sega Mega Drive growing up, or Sega Genesis if you Americans prefer. And while I did get a copy of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 when I finally did acquire one as an adult, I haven't actually played it much. Nor have I played that many of Sonic's other games. The main ones I played are Sonic Heroes, a little bit of Adventure 2, Sonic Chronicles, and a couple stages of Mania. And the only ones I've actually completed are Sonic Battle and most recently Sonic Forces, which I thought was pretty good fun. For the 3 hours it lasted. So how can I really call myself a fan of the franchise? Well, for one, I've seen most of the cartoons. And sure, some of them are kinda weird, but others are still very enjoyable. And while I haven't read too many of the Archie comics, I do currently read the IDW series, which I'm really enjoying. All in all, you could say I'm more of a fan of the franchise on an aesthetic level. I love the base design style of the characters, I love the idea of colorful animals with superpowers battling a mad scientist, and I love both how silly and over the top it can be, and how seriously it can try to take itself at the same time. I just find it pleasant, exciting, and, most of all, fun. My point is that I was just as excited as everyone else to see Sonic finally get his very first movie. Or, well, his second movie. Well, okay, that's not entirely correct. See, despite its title, Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie from 1996, 1999 in the States, is not actually a feature film. Rather, it was a 2-episode pilot for a proposed anime series that didn't get picked up due to the Blue Blur being far more popular in America than he is in Japan. But of course, there was no sense in letting them go to waste. So ADV Films grabbed the episodes, duct taped them together, and packaged them as a movie to release on home media in the US. Despite the track record of video game-based movies at the time, a lot of people say that this one is supposedly pretty good, so I thought it would be fun to give it a whirl. Let's check it out. The movie begins with an owl flying an airplane. We're off to a very confusing start. Actually, Old Man Owl here is on his way to deliver an important message to Sonic and Tails, who are just kinda chilling on their little island. But he quickly gets into trouble, so Sonic and Tails have to jump into action and save him, giving us our first look at Sonic's speed. And I gotta say, this montage does actually make it look rad as hell. So as it turns out, that message is actually from the President, who wants to see Sonic urgently. Wait, the President? What, is this a prequel to the adventure games? Are we finally gonna find out why he has a picture of Sonic on his desk? So, since Old Man Owl crashed his plane, they have to take Tails' Tornado to get there, and come on, man! Sonic, why is your name on the ramp? Can't you let Tails have the one victory of being the plane guy? Do you really have to lay claim to the frickin' ramp? Sonic, you're a douche! Once they arrive, it turns out Robotnik is holding the President and his daughter Sarah hostage in order to use them as bargaining chips so he can get Sonic to do some work for him. According to him, Sonic's world is split in two parts, the Land of the Sky and the Land of Darkness. And he claims that his fortress in the Land of Darkness has been taken over by a robot called Metal Robotnik, who is overloading the base's generator. That means the generator will likely explode within the day and cause terrible damage to the planet. So he wants Sonic and Tails to go fix it. Now, I'm sure some of you find this explanation both boring and confusing, but don't worry about it. So does the cast of the movie. Huh?
Fine! Don't blame me when this happened!
Now I know what you're thinking. We have another human girl in a Sonic movie. But is she any more interesting than the infamously boring Princess Elise from Sonic 06? she's a keeper, alright. So off the duo goes to the Land of Darkness, wielding a navigator given to them by Robotnik, and we're treated to some scenes of Sonic and Tails leaping around the landscape and beating up robots. It's actually pretty cool. It also kinda looks like a post-apocalyptic modern city, which definitely raises some interesting questions we never quite get an answer to. It doesn't take long for them to come under attack by a mysterious figure who turns out to be none other than the fabled Metal Robotnik. And while he looks pretty badass, he's a lot less threatening than he appears. I spoke too soon, help! Once again, this chase scene is actually really cool, but it's sadly cut short when Sonic and Tails pretend to drown and make Metal Robotnik go away. Except...
You didn't think I'd fall for a stupid trick like that, did you?
I mean, a moment ago they tricked you into punching yourself in the face, so... Metal Robotnik stops fucking around, and soon has Sonic dead to rights by essentially gluing him to the ground while the area starts to flood. But that's when none other than Knuckles appears out of nowhere, distracting Metal Robotnik long enough for Sonic to break free, and all three of them work together to take the monster down. Frickin' badass! The gang then arrives at Robotnik's base and find the machine seemingly ready to blow. But when Sonic tries to shut it down, he gets caught in some kind of scanner. And soon enough, a face that should be familiar to many Sonic fans steps out of the shadows.
It's a robot that looks exactly like Sonic!
Congratulations, you're smarter than a fifth grader!
To absolutely nobody's surprise, it turns out Robotnik was piloting Metal Robotnik the whole time, having dragged Sarah with him, and the whole thing was a ploy to get Sonic to step into a scanner so his mind could be implanted into an evil robot double. The two immediately duke it out in yet another really cool action scene, and eventually Metal Sonic drops the real Sonic from high up in the air and declares him dead, much to Robotnik's pleasure. Though, he seems to be fine, if a bit beaten up. Knuckles and Tails, meanwhile, have returned to the island to formulate a better battle plan. And once they arrive, they catch Old Man Owl wearing... whatever the fuck this nightmare is.
Those are Sonic's favorite clothes, so don't blame me if he gets mad at you.
Sonic's favorite clothes? He doesn't wear clothes! And these are his favorites? I mean, Jesus Christ, they look like all of Will Smith's sweaters from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air had a wild orgy and didn't mop the floor afterwards. While Tails reverse engineers the navigator to turn it into a Metal Sonic tracking device and Metal Sonic starts destroying everything in sight, Robotnik reveals the next part of his plan. Marrying Sarah so the two of them can be the only two humans left in his crazy robot empire. And she reacts approximately as you'd expect. So, remind me again, which one is the one I'm supposed to be feeling sorry for? But now that we've been dealing with a perfectly simple, understandable, and serviceable plot for a while, it's time to overcomplicate things. While Tails plans to hack Metal Sonic to make the real Sonic's heroic personality take over, Knuckles explains the inner workings of the planet and how Metal Sonic plans to destroy it. Apparently, every continent in the Land of the Sky is joined by a glacier that is somehow situated above a pool of magma without melting. And if Metal destroys the parts that supports it, the magma will overflow, melt the ice, and drop pretty much all landmass in there. This makes no sense whatsoever, but neither does Blue Hedgehog's running at super speed or Tails, well, Tails, so what the hell am I even complaining about? Sonic, who did survive the first battle, overhears all of this and instantly goes to face off against Metal Sonic in what is once again a super badass fight scene. Right until Metal Sonic crashes into the pod, gets a peek up Sarah's dress, and Sonic smooshes his emeralds on Robotnik's control panel. What a weird movie this is. I was gonna make a crack about how this is probably the horniest the franchise has ever been, but, well, you know. While Sonic continues to battle Metal and Knuckles rescues a falling Sarah, Robotnik and Tails have a brief face-off in their respective vehicles as the Mad Doctor fires a couple of... interesting missiles.
Oh no, another design failure!
Okay, I admit it, that one's actually pretty funny. Oh, and just in case you thought the film was done being horny, Tails falls out of his plane and crashes into Knuckles and Sarah, resulting in this famous scene.
Tails, get off!
Come on, Knuckles, give the kid a minute, he's working on it. The fight keeps raging, and Metal is damaging the ice, making the situation more and more dire. Tails tells Knuckles to do something already, but he has no idea what to do. At least not until Sarah persuades him a bit.
Right, yes ma'am!
Ah, there we go, another animal character with superpowers. Sonic the Hedgehog has super speed, Tails the Fox can fly, Knuckles the Echidna can glide, and Sarah the Cat can make everybody horny regardless of species or age. Glad to see the character design style remains consistent. The situation keeps getting worse as the president then shows up, but gets stuck inside his damaged pod, and Robotnik destroys the device that Tails wanted to use to hack Metal. But when the president's pod finally does explode, it's actually Metal who ends up rescuing him and Old Man Owl, much to everyone's surprise. And since he seems to be starting to short circuit as well, maybe Tails' device was working after all. Because eventually he falls down to the lava below. For whatever reason, Sonic tries to save him, despite his friend's warnings that Metal will likely just drag him into the lava with him. Though once he gets there, Metal does something quite different.
There is only one Sonic.
No! Don't do it, Sonic!
Well, that was weird and unprovoked and way sadder than it has any right to be. So now that the battle is over, everyone is standing around being a bit bummed about what just happened. Except for Robotnik, who brags about still having Sonic's data and claims he will make a newer, stronger, scarier robot. But hey, remember that turtle missile from earlier?
It must be very humbling to be in the presence of such a great scientific mind! What are you doing?
Everyone laughs it up, and with that, the movie ends. And overall, I think it was pretty fun. Well, most of it. Sonic the Hedgehog the movie is not some kind of hidden masterpiece of forgotten anime or video game movies, but it is a perfectly serviceable and exciting little Sonic adventure. It's not necessarily the best animated in the world, but it conveys a sense of speed and action very well with what it's got. And whenever it's just fun action adventure where Sonic and his pals go around beating up robots, it's super entertaining. It's really everything else surrounding that may make or break your enjoyment of the film. Now, the dub is far from outright awful. Robotnik and Sonic are fine, for example, but it certainly gets a little awkward and stilted in places, which might take some folks out of it a bit. And while I understand that when this came out, the Sonic franchise didn't have a lot of lore to build on, so the crew had to come up with some stuff on their own, there's just something out of place to me about these new characters and the world this is set in. And really, that's where I think the audience understandably gets split. Are Sarah, the president, and Old Man Owl funny and endearing, or are they stuck and annoying? And does the seemingly post-apocalyptic setting even work for something as lighthearted as Sonic? That's very much gonna be up to the individual viewer, and it will affect their rating of the film as a whole. But aside from that, I'd say that Sonic the Hedgehog the movie is a perfectly enjoyable little action adventure. And really, what more do we actually want from the blue dude with a toot? It's certainly all I ask for personally.